exactly.
Well, let's jump into our game review for the week. On the broker review this week, we're going to be checking out Diluvion. It's a new release game, just came out on Steam February 2nd. It's an indie action-adventure submarine RPG where you play as a captain. It's a 2D, 3D adventure. It was developed by Arachnid Games and published by Gambitious Digital Entertainment. What are you guys' expectations of this game, Monica?
So when we decided that we were going to go the route of Diluvion, I was not super excited about it just based off the trailer. I was already thinking like, what's up with this 3D stuff? Why is it turning 2D? Why are they blowing ships up? And then you got these like cutesy little characters that you're going to talk to. And more so than that, it was reminding me of the Fallout mobile game. I forget the specific title of it. Yeah, and I'm not a fan of that type of game. So I agreed to it, but I was a little bitter, and how I was a little bit more like Josh is every week when we pick out a game.
Is this your Montero?
Yeah. So I didn't have very high expectations. I will say that. What about you, Josh? Josh was probably like jonesing.
Well, I watched the video and I was like, okay, this could work. I like the visuals of it. It kind of looked like, a generic RPG mixed with, what was that? What's that space game where you manage the crew and it's
Faster
in
Than
2D?
Light?
Yeah, Faster Than Light. It looked like if you combined a old Elder Scrolls game as a submarine in the ocean mixed with Faster Than Light, but not quite as good. That's what it looked like. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I got out of it. But
so were you expecting it to be good or bad?
I did not expect this to be that great. I expect to have fun in it, and I expected it to be really interesting and to capture me. But I went in with lower expectations for sure.
All right. Well, like with me, I think I've been like looking for the next like big RPG in my life. And so when I seen it was like an RPG, it had another take on the play style. I found the 3D, 2D aspect of it very interesting. And so I was actually excited about it. I know I'm kind of the one that brought it up and picked it out. I thought the colors were really well done, the themes of it. And like the art style was very, a lot of people were saying like Jules Verne, underwater, old school art style. Almost like noir, but steampunk, but underwater. What do you think about the art, Monica?
So I had a problem with it. I just didn't like the transition between the 3D and the 2D. But it's not that it changes dimensions. I think it's more so the fact that the 3D just feels like a completely different game. Yes. They could have made it feel a little bit more tied to the 2D persona. It's not cutesy. It's very much, I don't want to say realistic, but you get a more realistic vibe from it than cartoony, which is what you experience in 2D. Another weird element for it for me was when you are in 2D and you're talking to different characters and you're finding new missions and everything, they come up on the screen and the art there is even different than the art of the character that you clicked on.
Yes.
So it just didn't seem like art style wise that they had quite a vision. Yeah. It was almost like they focused more on story or I guess missions. And then they said, okay, well, we know we're going to have 2D and 3D, but they didn't dive into how to combine them.
I would really quickly add on to complete that thought. Maybe they had an artist, not an art director.
Right.
Right.
What do you think about it, Josh?
Well, I would agree with that statement right off the bat. Overall, I felt the visuals were pretty solid, both the 3D and the 2D, but the intermix between the two was a little off. I really liked the 2D in some aspects. There's certain aspects, though, where it was the little characters that you were clicking on were just kind of moving left to right a little bit. And it's like, what the hell is he doing?
Animations.
Right. So yeah. I thought it... And So here's the thing with this is the 2D part is where you actually really get into the story. You're talking to people. When you're in 3D, you're just floating around, adventuring and destroying shit and collecting stuff. But in the 2D, that's where you interact with the things. That's where your characters are talking to each other. That's when the RPG elements are really at play. Yeah. And it felt like they kind of dropped the ball a little bit on that part of the game, the role-playing experience when you're with the other characters. But that's more gameplay stuff. As an art style, I liked both 2D and 3D.
I agree. I liked both. I didn't necessarily have an issue with both, but I felt as though it didn't mesh. It felt like playing two different games.
Absolutely.
And I felt like they really could have made either the 2D a little bit more realistic or the 3D a little bit more fun so that it didn't feel like you were jumping into a completely different world.
Mm-hmm. And like I would say with the art, besides like its overall, like the 2D stylized version of the game, I think is like what they nailed. Mm-hmm. But what it feels like to me is like they had a 3D artist, they knew how to build a 3D engine, but then they outsourced the 2D art. So someone who didn't work with them was making it and wasn't really talking to them. Right. And then like their avatars for when you're clicking on someone individually is a much more detailed, different style of art. And that feels like they outsourced it to someone else. So definitely, like I said earlier, no art direction. Just some kind of really cool colors. They had like an idea, but maybe a little inexperience on their part and on being able to pull it all together. And I think the worst thing artistically is like the UI, like the menu system. The art for that was like unbelievably horrible. Just absolutely horrible.
And nothing was really, this is moving on a little bit, but nothing was really provided to you in this game either. They have a little bit... I don't know, maybe it's just me. This is like a common theme in my life where if something isn't totally described to me, God forbid, I try to figure it out myself. But I did feel like there were certain elements where I was a little bit lost or confused. I remember at one point I had finished the missions. I didn't have a new mission, and I did need to continue in a specific direction. It wasn't told to me, but I needed to continue. And I just happened to run across the next mission. Sure. That's a dangerous thing for me. That's when I am not told the next thing I've got to do in a game, and it's not just an open world type of game, that can end up with me spending hours going around in circles and eventually ripping my hair all out again. So, but on the other side of that, the missions, the characters, I did feel as though the content was there. I thought it was fun in general. And I guess I just had a little bit of a problem with the guidance.
Sure.
Right.
What about you, Josh? How do you feel about the gameplay?
Yeah. It was probably the biggest problem I had with the game. So real quick, before I even got to the gameplay, I'll give you a little technical review of my experience across 3 different PCs, because I borrowed my girlfriend's to double check it. Across 3 different PCs, my game would not load.
What?
I could not. And I eventually figured out it would load. I had to let it sit there for 5 minutes first.
Oh, you're just impatient.
No, it happened. It happened on my desktop.
I'm a millennial.
It happened on 3 different computers where totally different configurations. Nothing was in the event logs. The game just wasn't loading. And eventually it did. And I had the same thing. If I'd exit to desktop, it would just sit there and chill. It was like, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to stay around.
That's weird.
Forever.
I didn't have that.
So outside of the technical issues I had, the game itself, I will say, playing on what Monica mentioned, there was a little bit of lack of direction, but since this is an adventure style RPG, there's going to be a little bit of exploration involved where you're going to have to figure stuff out. But there were multiple times where it was a game mechanic where I was just like, what the hell did I miss? Like, what am I supposed to do here? And then different parts of the game mechanics, like the little thing that's supposed to guide you occasionally, like it would just break and guide me into a wall, like a sort of the sea wall. overall, I felt the controls were pretty good. You're a submarine, so that's going to be fairly simple.
Mhm.
But as for the content, it just, this is where the issue with 2D and 3D comes into play. I felt like I kept on getting ripped out of the game every time I went into 2D. And then my crew would keep on trying to speak to me, and I would have to jump back into 2D,
Oh, yeah.
jump completely
that's
out of the world just because he'd be like, I've got something to say. Here's the alert that won't go off your screen. Hey, 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 hey. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm in a battle here. So you have to go, and you have to jump into 2D, click on this dude, jump back out. If you want to go loot, let's say you destroy one of these other ships and you want to go loot it, you got to jump back into 2D, click all around, try to find their loot. That's where the visual style of the 2D gets a little off, because sometimes I'd be like, there's loot here, but where the fuck is it? And you had to explore to find it. But I think that's the biggest issue with the gameplay. Jumping back from 2D to 3D was not as seamless, and not as fast, I guess, as it should have been.
There's definitely like no flow to it, to the game. So like once you start enjoying it, it's like you said, you're ripped out of it and you're done. Other gameplay like issues I played the game for about 4 hours, maybe 5-ish, and I think like 2 of that I was trying to complete one mission because they told me to go look for a town. I literally explored the entire town or the entire ocean that's available to you, and I couldn't find this one town, and I kept looking for it. And it's like you said, I followed it's like a quest line, like a yellow quest line through, and they use fish to like demonstrate it, which is kind of cool artistically. It's like you said, it would go straight into a wall, and you're like, well, I guess the town's fucking buried.
Right.
I'm not gonna fucking do this. I thought also, while I'm trying to get this quest done, and this maybe it's just because I spent too long trying to figure this out in the gameplay, but the sound of the game, the music just started getting a little overbearing, and almost like it was like mocking me, like you're not doing the right fucking thing, dude. You're just floating around in the ocean.
That was the first thing I did within 5 minutes, was go to the music and turn that shit almost all the way down.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys, because I thought that the controls, once you get the hang of it with a submarine, the controls are pretty simple. I ran into wall after wall, but that's me. I imagine that most listeners wouldn't have the same type of problems that I would.
Me too.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe the controls aren't that simple, but it does provide at least somewhat of a challenging dynamic of the game. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it. The problem that I had with moving from one area to other was actually in 2D, where sometimes when I would try to go to another room in the 2D, environments, it wouldn't move. It wouldn't stick. I would pull the cursor down to move down, and it would just sit there. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys had that experience at all, or if that was on my end.
I definitely did. You have to hit right click to sort of back up, zoom out, and then.
Okay. All right. And so that was a thing, I guess.
No, too far because of that mechanic. Right. Like I would exit
Keep
all the way out,
all the way back. Yeah. It's definitely broken a little bit. You should occasionally, it would stick for me too, and I'd get stuck, and you'd have to hit that. But you're supposed to be able to drag around.
So let's talk about the story. The story's introed into you in a very just shows you moving 2D images with like it felt like very bad Photoshop text. Almost like a moving storybook. That's the way the story is introduced to you. What did you guys pull out of the story? Did you like where they were going with it?
I definitely liked where they were going with it. I didn't even mind the intro. Witcher also had sometimes awkward 2D cutscenes, and I guess that's just a way to make it a little bit cheaper. But I thought that the artwork was fun. I didn't mind the story, how it was portrayed, but I really actually thought that the story was interesting. So just to talk about it a little bit, basically, the earth was warring, and the gods came to punish the humans, and they got rid of all of the land, and everything went underwater. And then there is myth that there is a gift in the sea, and if you acquire it, then it will basically, what's the word I'm looking for here? rejuvenate civilization.
Save
on land.
everybody. Everybody be saved. We don't have to live in these sheltered bodies under the sea. Drinking drinking piss, apparently. That first little bar you go to, the dude apparently makes his beer out of piss, or piss gin or something. So you don't have
you're from the South. You're used to it.
Go around. I love drinking a little piss. That's what I like.
So I thought the story was interesting. Any type doom and gloom, God's coming down, punishing you, and then you can get retribution by collecting their little nugget. I'm good with that.
I love God punishing me.
Yeah, I'm down.
Way to live.
I'm down. I love punishment of the gods. So I thought the story was very interesting. Now I haven't completed the game. It would take some time in order to do that.
Yeah.
But I did feel as though the story was compelling enough where I want to see what happens.
Okay.
I want to save these little jittery 2D creatures and put them back up on. I want to save the little jittery back creatures. And forth,
hey guys. Hey. You want me to join your crew? I'll join your crew.
I'm going to say the same thing that every other person you clicked on just said.
Yes.
And I'm going to shift.
Copy and paste. Copy and paste.
I think my biggest issue with the story is it's not so much a story because I get the underworld or under the water. It's kind of cool. I'm loving that. I think it's the storytelling, the way the story progresses just sucks. You get little text bubbles that aren't nice to read. Nothing's ever really explained to you intriguingly. It's just exposition. Hey, we should go. I think on one of the quests, the next objective to do is to find a sonar radio or something under the sea.
That's where I got lost for.
Yeah. And so instead of you kind of searching it or we could go do this. We haven't explored this part of the ocean. Maybe we can find something. Your engineer dude's just oh yeah, we should go to the Guild of Sound. Let's go. It's going to be fucking awesome.
Wherever the fuck that is, we're going to give you this little line that goes in the walls and shit.
Yep. That was a 6-part mission that I did 5 things on, and I spent an hour and a half looking for the town that wasn't there.
I hate that the first main mission was a classic, wow, go kill 5 things, collect 5 pieces of hide, come back, and I'm going to read off some text and an annoying pop-up that you have to switch to 2D to fully read. Fuck you, game purchaser.
Holy shit.
Sorry.
Dude, Josh
it's fucking Montero 2.0.
Josh is punishing us as the gods.
Josh is the god. It's fucking raining down on us.
Yeah, I guess how I feel is that in general, I don't hate necessarily anything about this game, but I didn't love anything either. That's where it left me feeling, and I, because my expectations were so low and because I was already jumping into this, I actually was surprised at the fact that the gameplay was a little bit more interesting to me than I thought it was going to be. And I think I might actually play it a little bit more, which I didn't expect at all. I thought I was just going to have to begrudgingly go through this and not pick it up again. But yeah, there just wasn't enough in it to make it the game that I want to play this month.
Yeah.
Right.
Josh, final thoughts?
They're updating the crap out of it. It seems almost like a heavily polished, not really early release, but kind of early release game that they've released some decent updates for. I think their first major update was fixing the controls. So if they have the arcade control set, probably for you, Monica, and the simulation control set.
That was just the best dig.
So
you dick.
They do seem, and a lot of other folks seem to agree that some things just aren't there yet, and they seem to be kind of improving them. So it's not early access, but they are updating it, so hopefully they continue that. And I'm definitely going to try checking it out again eventually.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's not broadcasted as an early access, but feels like it because of the way they're updating so fast and so rapidly. I think I read 2 updates while I was loading, like installing the game. I'm like, dude, you just came out like a week ago. Like, what's going on? So I love the art style. The sound is all right. The menu system needs to be completely revamped.
Yes.
The dialogue system needs to be completely revamped if they want to have a successful long-term game, I think. Because anyone picking this up, like, unless they fix this and show me what they can do, I'm not going to look at another Arachnid game release.
Is this their first game?
I don't know that.
I wonder if it is. If this is their first game, then I think that this is very, very, very promising.
For sure.
Yeah.
If not, then still, depends on where they are, how long they've been around, what other content they've put out. But I don't know. I mean, I think that especially if you're into like under the sea type games, sometimes people prefer a specific environment. And if you're into that type of game, I think you will enjoy this one. I don't crave that, I want like hunky medieval dudes more so than, little bopping 2D characters. But
you didn't like
I think,
Jay's mustache?
well,
His fucking flying V of a mustache?
Not really my cup of tea, no.
Okay.
And I'm normally dig the mustache. So, but I do think that there is an audience for this game. And I can see people really enjoying it. And then I can see people kind of coming at it that more like us, where they're like, okay, not too bad, but not my favorite.
Okay. I think that like kind of wraps it up. Thumbs up, thumbs down, Josh.
I would give it a thumbs up to many people. No, I don't want to play it.
No. Monica?
I want to be a middle thumb.
So I did thumbs down for our
Okay.
audio listeners.
I don't want to be up or down. I guess I trend more down, but I do really feel like some people will really enjoy this game. If you're looking at the trailer and you think this looks really fun to me, you'll probably like it. It seemed like a lot of outside of maybe your Brian, our expectations were kind of stayed the same. In fact, mine improved a little bit. So I do think that there's an audience for this game, and I'm more thumbs down, but because I think that a lot of people would like it, I'm sticking my thumb right in the middle.
Ew. So gross. I'm gonna go with thumbs down, man. I don't like to keep my thumb in the middle. I like to decide where my thumb goes. And I'm gonna put my thumb down on this. It's a $20 price point.
Right. Yeah.
They had a vision. I don't think they delivered. I played this game for a pretty long time, and it was all on one mission that I couldn't get past. And if I can't get past this mission, and I really try to complete it, I know other people just are not going to be able to do it.
Right.
So you're saying you're special and you're so good that if you can't do it,
no,
one
I'm
can.
saying I'm an absolute moron, and that I invested the time. I put in moron time to try and solve this, and it just didn't happen. So I don't want to suggest this game to anybody. Maybe later on they can send me some nice gifts, some nice updates to this game, and I'll turn my thumb the other way. But right now, no, we're thumbs down on this sucker.
Yeah.
All right, that's Diluvion.
That's it.
If you feel like buying it after that glowing review, you can find it on Steam for $20. And that's it.